Okay, so I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of background on the history of the painting that we're recreating today. This painting is entitled Girl with a Pearl Earring. It is a very famous work. You probably have seen it before. This was made in 1665 by Johannes Vermeer. It's definitely his most famous work. And he was a Dutch painter in the Golden Age. So a little bit of background, cool to know. Okay, so here's some information on materials. I do not spend $1 billion to create this work. Canvases, I bought a bulk pack 9x12 from Michaels, but you can use flat boards, you can use any surface really coated with gesso, so you don't need to spend $1 billion. Again, same thing goes with brushes. I have a 5-pack that I probably paid $13 for. As long as they're synthetic and stiff enough to handle the paint, that's all you really need. Oil paints, if you're gonna splurge on anything, I recommend you splurge on these. Winsor & Newton is a great brand, but I found them in my basement, and I'm pretty sure they're cheap art supply. So nothing crazy is needed. Mediums, Gamsol is one of them I use in this video. If you're gonna get anything, Gamsol is the one. It thins your paints, allows you to create washes, and most importantly, it cleans your brushes. The next medium, not as necessary, safflower oil. It's gonna help your paints blend more easily. It slows down drying time, but definitely not necessary. So proof that you don't need expensive materials to create cool art. Okay, so I used the grid method to sketch out her outline. Looking back, these grids were not proportional. The ones on the canvas are perfect squares, and the ones on the reference photo are a little bit of a rectangle. So she's slightly elongated, but you live and you learn, can't complain. So right now what I'm doing is applying a nice wash. Paint goes on a lot easier when you're not staring at a white canvas. So I start with her head wrap, her hair piece. I think it's a wrap. But I'm just blocking in all of the darker colors first. I'm starting with the blue portion. He's very suggestive in his work in the blue portion of the headpiece. So I'm just kind of doing the same thing, blocking in darker midtones and then slowly transitioning into the lighter tones. So as you can see, it appears to the eye that there's some creasing, but it's not exact. The eye kind of fills it in, but it's nothing crazy that he did here. Okay, so on to the tan portion of her headpiece. Vermeer was definitely a little bit more detailed in this portion because there's a folding aspect to it. There's the drape of the back. So he definitely had to add a little bit more detail to get that effect, as the blue portion is a little bit more tighter to the head. So again, I'm doing basically the same thing, just a little bit more tedious. I'm blocking in the darker colors first, then bringing in the midtones, then going in with the highlights. Also, as you can see in the bottom flowy part of the headpiece in the reference photo, Vermeer was a lot more harsh with his shadows and highlights, so I'm blending the top a lot more than I'm blending the bottom. Okay, full transparency here, guys. I'm not an expert. In fact, this is maybe the third portrait I've ever done in paints and the first I've done in oil paints, so I learned a lot about skin tone in this first session. As you can see, it's starting out good. We're blocking in some darker tones as we do. Then I go in with the lighter tones, and that is white and gray. What are we doing here? She is ghostly. So we're definitely going to have to add some brighter colors to this. I'm going to compare both tones side by side. Pairing our light tones side by side. His is peachy. It has yellow, red, and a little bit of blue. Mine is essentially a warm gray. Same thing with the dark tones. Except another additional thing, his shadows are almost black. Mine need to be a lot darker. I figured I'd also give you a little look at my palette and how I mix paints and what colors I use. In this video, I use red, yellow, blue, and white, mixing lighter tones. So I take a previously made paint that I had saved and I start adding to it little by little. Any strong, harsh adjustments will make you lose progress in the paint, in the tone. So you add very little amounts of paint at a time. In this video, I'm making a warmer yellow skin tone. I'm still kind of struggling with the fact that these colors are going to be a lot more pigmented than what I have on the canvas currently. But these three colors that I am mixing definitely are a step in the right direction. I have a more red skin tone, a more yellow skin tone, and a cooler blue skin tone. As you can see also, when the color got a little bit too red, I made some green to cancel it out. I'm sorry if the voiceovers going forward are a little bit echoey. I'm in my garage because my parents are sleeping. I didn't even bother to include a voiceover for the past part because nothing really happened, but in this clip, I really make some good progress. The shadow tones that I'm adding are much more pigmented, and the value of these paints are incredibly darker than they used to be, allowing for the contrast that Vermeer really intended. So you'll see at the beginning how insane this pigment looks. You're like, wow, she's completely orange. But then as it goes on, you really start to get a sense that no, it's not that orange because she was really lacking pigment in her skin tone. You really can see how this paint rejuvenates her and brings her to life. Also, Vermeer in this painting did something of an optical illusion with her nose. It's not really defined entirely, but you still know it's there and you still know its shape. So, yeah, I had to learn how to toy with the slight difference in pigment in the tones. It was really tough, but I tried my best. So, although this is a very minuscule detail, it's important to try and stay as true to the tones and values that Vermeer did. It really helps capture the essence of the craftsmanship of the master painter. So, details are important. I really do sound like a broken record here, but again, all I'm doing is just blocking in the dark values first and working my way up the ladder. It obviously is a lot harder than it sounds to really copy something accurately, but that's all that's happening here. I think the only thing I really would add here is that the tones that you see as a whole are not the tones that you will pick apart individually. So this shirt might look yellow and brown to the eye when you look at it as a whole, but when you look at specific parts, you start to notice some blues, some greens, some warm reds. So I kind of like to go off the quote, copy what you see, not what you think you see, and that applies here 100%. As an artist, I think it's just as important to know when to add, how much to add, to be bold with your colors and the amount of paint that you're using, just as much so as knowing when to stop and when you're probably not making it better. If not, you're just making it worse. I was probably at that point here, not making it worse per se, just like adding, going back, adding, going back. You can see I'm really using that Q-tip a lot. So I definitely made valuable changes, but I don't think the majority of that work was necessary. I do think that the detail I added to her shirt was necessary. The tones are a lot more striking. You can tell the difference between them a lot more easily. And I think that the deeper values I add in the shadow portion of the shirt really is nice on the eye. You can really pick up the different folds and creases much more easily. All right, so here's the finished product. I'm very proud of how this came out. Although there is a lot of inconsistencies comparing mine to Vermeer's work and the trial and error I really ran into. I'm proud of it and I'm really thankful for what I learned, and I can't wait to move on to the next one. And I hope you learned something too through my mistakes or through my information that I provided. But if you just enjoyed watching me create some art, that is satisfactory enough for me. If you'd like to support this video, I'd appreciate a like, comment, or subscribe. And if you want to see more of this, stay tuned. Or you could also check out my Instagram, Ava Beast Canvas. Also, a side note, this is my third oil painting ever, and I can already feel myself getting better. So I've always been kind of intimidated by oil paints until I just started. So here's your encouragement to just get after it. Anybody can create cool art, no matter the skill level. So I encourage you, if you're on the fence, just take the leap and do it. Even if it's not oil paint, even if it's just some form of art medium you're scared of, you're just as worthy as the next person. Okay, I'll shut up now.